What's up, everybody? How you doing? It's the Scene Snobs podcast, and I'm your host, the Scene Snob, Mike Kimball, and back again for another episode. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them so far. But let's just rock and roll and get right into it. So I just want to start out with the Watchmen. Watchmen has been killing it. I've been talking about it every week since it started, and episode 4 just came out. And I gotta tell you, this show is just it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It really is. Like, it's great storytelling. They have questions. They have questions coming up every week and they're answering very slowly. So it is by Damon Lindelof and his crew from Lost. So I'm a little concerned that some of these questions might not be answered. And this is a show where they should definitely be answered. But so far, so good. And I've just been really loving it, and I can't say enough good things about it. And I hope I build up an awareness of it. Whoever's not listening out there, just please go check it out. Especially if you're a fan of graphic novel, they've done such a great job with it. And but with that, like the opening scene in this week too it was so dark. You know, my wife was sitting there, Mrs. Scene Snob was sitting there with me watching it, and she hasn't seen an episode yet. And the opening sequence in this episode, it shows a couple, and I'm not gonna give anything away, but it's this couple. They have no children. They work on a farm, and that's their legacy. That's what they do. And then Madame True, who is a character on the show, who's just introduced in this episode, so can't really get too much into her right now. She's a billionaire. Took over Osmandius' company. And she shows up at their door, and she basically tells them, like, I give you exactly what you want. I want your land. I want all of your land, all 41 acres or whatever it was. And she gives them a time limit. She's like, you have 3 minutes to decide. And then she's like, they're like, no, not enough money. This is our legacy. Or they go and get into them not having children. Basically, she created a child from their DNA for them, and shows up, and then as soon as they hold this baby, they're in love. And she's like, you got 10 seconds, or I have to take the baby. And he'll never know you existed. But it's just such a dark thing. And I'm not going to let you know how it ends. Get there on your own. It's really cool little sequence that kind of opens up the world once you find out what's going on. But and leaves you asking more. But it's just such a dark scene. And lately, I've been seeing some dark things when it comes to kids in my media, and by media I mean my movies and my TV, because God knows the media has enough dark things. We're not getting into that though. Another thing, kind of segue into it. Dr. Sleep. I saw it last Friday. I saw it on its opening day, and let me tell you. If you haven't seen my review, go check it out. It's on the Scene Snobs channel on YouTube and at thescenesnobs.com. But I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. And in my year-end review, I have a feeling it will go down. There's still some movies coming out that may edge it out of the top 10, but as of right now, it's in there. I really enjoyed this movie, but it's dark. It is a dark, dark movie. And like I said in my review, that I'll just say this now, Mike Flanagan makes a great movie, and it's a great continuation to the Shining. However, as great of a horror movie as Dr. Sleep is, The Shining is a horror experience. Like Stanley Kubrick, like, that's a whole nother level. In my opinion, The Shining is the best horror movie of all time, and I will stand by that till the day I die. And it's not even my favorite. I love it, but it's not even my favorite horror movie. But the reason I say that is Mike Flanagan follows it up real nicely with Dr. Sleep. He takes his liberties from the book, but the reason I got into this, I was talking about, like, just something. I don't want to say the Dr. Sleep had some visceral, maybe just vicious is the word I'm looking for, but vicious scenes that involve children in the movie. So, like, it kind of messed me up a little bit this weekend, especially now being a dad. Those things kind of screw me up. But yeah, I kind of that was the connection I had with after I watched Watchmen too. It was like, man, it's getting dark. You know, when it comes to kids, it's like all bets are off. Like, you know, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Especially with the HBO's new show coming out, The Outsider, which is also based on a Stephen King novel, and that's a dark one with towards kids too. So I don't know. My media is kind of getting real dark recently, so it's kind of brought me down a bit, I think. And but I don't want to bring everybody else down. But what I do want to say is, if you're not watching Watchmen, go check it out. Definitely check it out. It's terrific. If you're not watching, if you haven't seen Doctor Sleep, which a lot of people seem not to because it's not doing well, in the opening weekend it flopped. But let's bring it back. It's a great movie. It's worth going to see it. I kind of get it. I get Halloween's over. You gotta get that dash of like, I just don't feel like going to see a horror movie, but man, go see it. Trust me, it's worth seeing in the theater, just for the overlooked scenes alone. So seriously, like, I think you'll really enjoy it in the theater. Let's get those numbers up in this next weekend and make it number one. Although Jojo Rabbit comes out this weekend, and I have a feeling that's going to be another one that's probably going to be my favorite, one of my favorites by the year's end. So that's all I got to say about Dr. Sleep. But man, there's a lot of things going on today. It was a big day. I don't know who else is on it, but it was a big day today. Disney Plus came out, and so did Apple TV. Now I'm going to start with Apple TV, and I'm going to complain a little bit. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of Apple users out there. I know Apple. I used to edit on Final Cut quite a bit. I prefer PC based, either Avid or Adobe Premiere myself. It's not even Adobe Premiere anymore. But yeah, I do like Final Cut. I use Final Draft quite a bit when I was writing in Hollywood. That's what I use for all my scripts. So, like, I don't hate Apple in any way. I don't have an iPhone anymore. I just prefer my Samsung. I don't know. I'm really annoyed with the Apple TV today. Now, I get there's probably a ton of people who are signing up for Apple TV. You know, there's a ton of people signing up for Disney Plus. I was one of them. But I was going to sign up for both, and I still have yet to be able to sign up for Apple TV. I did everything it asked. I signed up, I made my Apple ID, signed up for the iTunes store, got everything I needed to get, and it's still just blocking me out, man. And it's annoying. That just drives me crazy. Like, figure your stuff out. Figure it out. I hate that. It's opening day, and like, how many other people is this happening to? I can't wait to hear. You know, I'm sure we will soon, because I've already started hearing about the problems that people have been having with Disney Plus, and I had no issues with that all day. You know, granted things happened, but I come from a dial-up generation, so it doesn't really bother me if it's buffing a little bit too long. You know, on opening day. But, you know, Apple, get your stuff together. I don't even know if I'm going to go for Apple TV anymore because it just annoyed me too much. But I did go for Disney Plus. I have Hulu, and with Hulu, it was like $6 more, and I was like, I'm in. First and foremost, I needed to see The Mandalorian, and I want to see what else they got. Now, with The Mandalorian, I'm not going to get too involved in that either because I also have another review of that up. So go check that out on the YouTube channel or on scenesnobs.com. Scenesnobs.com, I should say. But let me tell you, first things first, I signed up, got right on. Mandalorian was up. And man, did they do that right. Jon Favreau just saves it, man. With the exception of Cowboys versus Aliens. But he just saves everything else. Like, he gave us Marvel. Marvel exists today because of him. You know, stop giving all the credit to Kevin. You know, Jon Favreau deserves much of that credit. He came on, and that's why they are what they are. Because that first Iron Man movie, which was a gamble, didn't do as well as it did. Yeah, everybody seems to forget Iron Man was not the most popular character back then, back before that movie, and Marvel was just an entity that like was as at that time known for Spider-Man 3 and the Punisher movies that were coming out and like just things that were just not doing well. And then you have Iron Man come out with Robert Downey Jr., who nobody wanted to bank on. He was a guy that nobody wanted to go for. I saw The Singing Detective when it came out. I knew he was still an amazing actor, and I was cool with it. I went and saw it opening day because I had no problems with the guy. But he was not a guy that he was not a movie star that everybody was banking on. So, Jon Favreau, the man everybody knew going in, because a year before when he started, he built up such a social media presence for Iron Man. And it was him. He signed up for Twitter just to do Iron Man. He signed up for I think it was Twitter and no, Instagram was around back then. I think he might have done a Facebook, but Twitter was the big one, and that was in its infancy. And this was a major star / director that was going on a movie that nobody was really all that aware of. So this is just your history lesson, and look what it did. Look what it's built. And I give all the credit to Jon Favreau on that. Well, not all the credit. I mean, a lot of people did great jobs in it. But Jon Favreau really believed in it, and he really, he stuck his neck out, made sure Robert Downey Jr. was the guy. He did so much for it. So, like, and I tell my kids when we watch it, and Happy comes on the screen, and Spider-Man Far From Home, or an Endgame, or whatever, I point to him and I say, that's the guy that made Marvel what it is. And I say, make sure you know. So when I heard he signed up for The Mandalorian, I was like, this is going to be awesome. I mean, not everything Star Wars is doing too great these days. So a TV show that takes place after Return of the Jedi and years before the current trilogy out, and isn't about Boba Fett, but is about a Mandalorian, like, I mean, it's not that I think people thought it would be bad, but it's also people are weary. They don't know what they're going to get. But when Jon Favreau signed on, it was like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. And then all of the talent he got with it was just fantastic. So I was super excited. So when Disney Plus came around, I was like, I mean, The Mandalorian might be worth the extra $6 a month. I was like, I mean, that's a great price in general. But yeah, I was like, I'm signing up. I was like, because I know I'm going to get other things I like. I mean, I saw, trailers for a bunch of stuff that I really want to see, and that I did watch when it came out. But The Mandalorian was first and foremost. It's the first thing I watched this morning, and man, I loved every second of it. Every frame was fantastic. It looked amazing, the whole night. And as soon as it was done, I had to do a review. I had to get on screen and just talk about this movie, and I did that. And so I will leave my review to that, to go check that out. But I did want to say, like, Disney Plus is worth it just for that, and there's so much more. I watched a short film Pixar did, Float, which was, oh my God, as a dad, like, ugly crying, man, ugly crying. Because it just hits you in the heartstrings, and it's just a dad and a son, and his son is different, and I'm not going to let on too much. I think everybody should watch it and get the impact of it, but his son is different, so his father feels like he needs to hide him, and then he suffers the consequences of that. And it's beautiful, an amazing tale of a father and son, and man, I'm getting ready to, like, I'm getting choked up right now. But like, I watched it, and like I said, just ugly crying. Like, it was just bawling my eyes out. And my 3-year-old, my son, was like right next to me watching it with me. And he just grabs my face and he wipes my tears away and he goes, "It's okay, Daddy." Done. And I watched it twice because I wanted to watch it. I watched it with my 3-year-old, and then I wanted to watch it with my stepson and my wife, Miss Scene Snob. So we all sat down as a family a second time to watch it. And it's just a beautiful story. Nobody moved during it. It was just a fantastic little short film. And so Pixar, of course, is still killing it. Their short films are just amazing. But they also put out, Pixar on Disney Plus also put out another show called Pixar in Real Life, which was a lot of fun. It is pretty cool. They put out the first episode. It's like a 6-minute episode, 6 or 7 minute episode. And this one is based on Inside Out. And what they do is they put a control panel in a park. It looks like in New York City. And it's the control panel from Inside Out that controls the emotions. And it's just sitting there. You know, they have the cameras all over and such. But it's just sitting there. Nobody knows why it's there. Nobody can figure it out. And is people just start going up to it and start playing with it. And as they're playing with it and hitting the emotion buttons and things like that, they have actors, just random people who are in the park walking by, just start acting it out, like having emotions, like screaming at each other, and like, you know, like if they're hitting mad or if they're hitting happy, and like they're changing a drop of a dime. It's terrific. It's just so much fun to see, and I can't wait to see what other Pixar movies they bring to us in real life. I'm very excited for that little, you know, just any little shorts, you know, that do this. I saw the trailer with Wall-E, you know, so rolling around, looks like, again, New York City, so I'm excited for it. But with everything Disney Plus has to offer, I was super excited. I picked up my stepson, my 7-year-old stepson from school, and it was around the same time I remember getting out of school when I was a kid. And we come home, and he's excited for Disney Plus. He saw me sign up for it. He wants to watch things on it. He's excited. I made him his own profile and everything. Man, he was just, he was elated because I was like, we're going to watch the Disney Afternoon. He's like, what's that? I was like, that's what I watched when I was a kid. We're going to watch one episode from every show. So he and my 3-year-old were sitting there and we're watching these shows, and we started with Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I know we didn't do it in the order that it was, but, you know, just bear with me. We're getting excited. Watch that. They know DuckTales. They know the old DuckTales and they know the new DuckTales, so we didn't watch those, but I have introduced them to that, and I've introduced them to Darkwing Duck, but we did watch Darkwing Duck episode. We watched Tailspin, Gummy Bears. Like, we were excited. They had a lot of fun with it, and they have Bonkers on there, man. I don't know how many of you remember that show, but that was a pretty good show back in the day. Bonkers. It was kind of like a take on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was pretty cool. But yeah, just that's what it is with Disney Plus. That makes me so excited. Like, yeah, they're doing a lot of original stuff, which is cool. But I'm super excited to catch up on old shows with my kids, as they are into them. Because, like, my 3-year-old loves the Hulk. That's his favorite hero of all time. And not only do they have Hulk and the Agents of Smash, but they have the 90s Hulk TV show, which, again, if a lot of you don't remember, that was a pretty good show. They did that, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, Iron Man, and they were all solid shows back then. They were just, to me, they were just as good as the Spider-Man show from the 90s. But the Spider-Man show was better because Spider-Man was a better character. He has a better rogues gallery, has better stories. But these stories followed just as closely with everything. And I'm excited to show it to them and see what they think. But they also have the X-Men series, the 92 X-Men series. And I am super excited for that. Because I know my stepson, my 7-year-old, is going to go off the wall with that, because he loves the X-Men, he loves comic books, and he's going to learn the stories. He's going to see the stories for what they are, and he's getting kind of into animation right now. He's really digging it, so it's going to be cool to have him see all the animation back then and kind of learn from that. But yeah, Disney Plus, I'm very excited for it, and I really think that if you don't have it, look into it. It's, for me, it's $12 a month because of Hulu. I'll watch ESPN Plus. I usually just check out SportsCenter, whatever games are on there, but I'll check it out because I like 30 for 30 films and such. But I do have Hulu. I use Hulu quite a bit. So when I had that, I was like an extra $6. And then I get Disney Plus, I'm in. I was like, because there's just so much that Disney has to offer. And that's not just the original content, which is tons of stuff. I'm reading about all the stuff that's going to come out for Marvel. So, I mean, it's only going to get better. So I'm definitely excited. I'm glad I signed up for this. But, so I think if you're really into it and there's, you're Disney fans, or Fox now too. Fox is a part of it. So you'll see stuff from Fox on there. They have like every episode of The Simpsons, which is awesome. I suggest going to check it out. Give it. I think they have like a 7-day free trial offer if you like it. There you go. I make no money by saying that. It would be awesome if Disney were sponsored the show, but I'll talk about them all day. But that's not the case. But I did sign up, so I'm excited and I want to talk about it. And I do suggest if you're a Star Wars fan like me, go check out The Mandalorian. Definitely find it and watch it. It is amazing. Pedro Pascal is killing it as Mandalorian. It's only been episode 1. So, tons of Easter eggs, some very cool stuff. Just get excited. With that, some other really cool things have been coming out. The Scoop trailer came out. That was yesterday, but I watched it again today. My kids are super excited for it. Scooby-Doo. Who doesn't love Scooby-Doo? I know we do. And my kids are really into it. So when they saw this, they got super into it. And it's newer. It's got Zac Efron is playing Fred. Amanda Seyfried is playing Daphne. That's all I know right now. I didn't really look too much into who's playing who. Oh no, Zac Efron's not playing Fred. He's playing I think the Falcon guy that Hanna-Barbera had too. Let me look it up because it's just going to annoy me now if I don't know. Mark Wahlberg's in it, or is doing a voice in it, I should say. So let me see what cool things they have going on here. What do we have? All right, well at least I got Frank Welker to play the voice of Scooby-Doo again. It's like you really can't change that. You have to have him on. Oh no, yeah, okay. So Zac Efron is playing Fred. Mark Wahlberg is playing Blue Falcon. I remember him. Jason Isaacs playing Dick Dastardly. That's awesome. They're bringing him in. I mean, I guess you're bringing Blue Falcon in. Why not? Yeah, Amanda Seyfried is playing Daphne Blake. McKenna Grace. Oh, she's playing a young Daphne. I have no idea who that is. Gina Rodriguez is playing Velma. Will Forte is playing Shaggy. Man, get Matthew Lillard. What's going on here? He was perfect. He still does all the cartoons. Come on, that's my boy right there. Get him in there. Not really my boy, but we were friendly at one time or another. But that's a story for another episode. Oh, cool. Ken Jeon's playing Dolemite, the Blue Falcon sidekick. And oh yes, I'm so excited for this. Tracy Morgan is playing Captain Caveman. Well, that's about all I'm getting into this, but it is a cool trailer. It looks like it's going to tell the origin. So it looks like it's going to visit a pup named Scooby-Doo. If everybody remembers that, it was like an ABC Saturday morning cartoon from back in the day when they were all kids and they solved mysteries, but they're as little kids. So it looks like they're going to kind of enter that territory and kind of tell the tale about how Shaggy and Scooby met and then how all the gang met or whatever. Because they look young in it. And then they're going to... But there are flash forwards to where they're adults. And they're hunting monsters and ghosts and stuff too. So, we'll see. Maybe they'll get Dean and Sam Winchester in there, now that they're friends from... and that is canon from Supernatural. I really do... I took that episode. Sorry, I had to mention that. That's very vague if you don't watch the show. But, yeah, so the Scoop trailer, it looks pretty awesome, and I'm excited for it. I will be there, opening weekend. We also had today the Mr. Rogers, the second trailer came out. The Won't You Be My Neighbor, I think it's called, which is the Tom Hanks movie where he plays Mr. Rogers. Man, that one really pulls on the heartstrings. That is like, there's a line in that trailer that I think the wife of the reporter in it goes, "Don't ruin my childhood," because he's doing an expose on Mr. Rogers, and it's like, Yeah, yeah. Don't ruin my childhood. And that's with this movie. I don't think it's going to be bad at all. I think Tom Hanks is a great actor, and he's going to do right by Mr. Rogers. But let me tell you, don't ruin my childhood, Tom Hanks. Yeah, that's Mr. Rogers. Don't screw it up. I don't want any darkness in him, anything like that. Just play him the way we remember him, because he was the man. Rest in peace, Mr. Rogers. Um, and then we had, which, oh man, everybody bullied this, and even I was like, this is weird. Like when it first came out, the first trailer for Sonic, when that came out, he looked terrible. He looked weird, but I didn't place it in my first like viewing. Like I watched it like 2 times, and I was like, my first 2 viewings, I really didn't place it. I didn't realize what was wrong. Like he seemed too human like in his features, and his teeth were very human like. It was like they were trying to make him more human than cartoon, and I got it. Once I saw all the outrage over it, and it was pointed out to me. I was like, oh, I get why people don't like this. And the trailer sucked though. But I don't think I realized how bad the trailer sucked until I watched this trailer, the new trailer. So they went back, they listened. I think the company's Sony. I'm not 100% sure on that. But they went back, they listened, and they changed him, and they redid everything. And he looks cool. He looks like Sonic now. The teeth aren't as scary, and he's not as humanly looking. He looks like Sonic. He acts like Sonic. And then they show this brand new trailer. And I remember also saying there watching it, and I'm like, yeah, James Marsden, is he all right? Like, why has he got to keep you? This is a leading man type of guy who's always getting the woman's never with him, always leaving him, and he's also friends with a bunch of animated characters. I don't understand it. So, but I digress. But I was watching this new trailer, and it's pretty awesome. It's really fantastic. It gives you kind of like what the storyline is like. Sonic had to leave his world and come to ours to go into hiding. And now Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, which was annoying in the first trailer, but in this trailer, it looks pretty cool. Like, everything looked really cool about it. It told, like, a cool story. And it wasn't just about how he looked, because the trailer's cut with new scenes, and it all works. I really enjoyed it. And I showed it to my kids. They got all excited about it. They didn't really care for the first trailer either. So it turned the kids off when that came out. But this one, they were all about it. And they said, oh, we have to go and see it. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I kind of want to. I was like, this seems like a cool one. It doesn't seem like what happened with Yogi Bear or some of these other ones, like the Woody Woodpecker movie. It looks like it's going to be a fun story that makes sense. That kind of melds the two worlds together, the animated world and the human world. I hope I'm not wrong. This is the first one where it's like they listened to the fans and went for it, and I got to give them a lot of credit on that. I'm pretty stoked for this one. So go check out that trailer if you haven't already. It's worth it. With that, wanted to check out my movie recommendation for this week. I just watched it the other day. I've been wanting to watch this for a while since I heard about it. It was Eddie Murphy's Dolemite Is My Name, which is a Netflix exclusive movie. And before I start, before I can review it, I do want to just say I am so happy. It seems like Eddie Murphy's kind of, I hate to say back, like he was never, like he left and he wasn't around. Like, he was around, but for a while it seemed like he didn't care. It seemed like he just kind of did whatever movie kind of came in. Whatever movie he wanted to do, he came and did his way. And I will go back. I'll stand on this. Like, I'm not saying he made all terrible movies. I like The Haunted Mansion for what it is. It's a kid's movie, but I liked it for what it was. And he wasn't bad in it. But, I mean, there was a string of a lot of weird ones. And, like Imagine That, and what was the one where he could only say 1,000 more words? It was probably 1,000 words, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, but I just like, it just seemed like he was doing movies that were giving him a paycheck, and they were bombing. And now that's a guy, even like with his bombs, like Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop is not what. Beverly Hills Cop 3 is not Beverly Hills Cop, or my favorite, Beverly Hills Cop 2. But it was a guilty pleasure. I still enjoyed it enough to watch it. Like, it was hokey, but I mean, it also wasn't terrible. Like, I just don't think they should have made it if they didn't have to. Um, but, and I also liked Metro. I don't care. I don't care who knows it. I thought Metro was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I like Michael Rappaport in it. I like everybody in it. And I stand by that. And I will stand by that. I thought that was a cool movie. And it didn't do well, and I think that's why people hate on it. And that's annoying. I hate when people do that. But, I get bad movies, but I just didn't think Metro was a bad movie. But I just don't think he's had a good movie where it seems like he really cared, where he was really all in. Since I'm probably wrong here because I don't know. I forgot when the Nutty Professor movies came out, but since Bowfinger, it seemed like to be the last movie where he really cared. And he was really all about the comedy on that. But it seems like he's coming back full force. Seems like he's in, and I'm so excited. Like Mr. Church, I really enjoyed, and he did a good job in it. But it was very far from what he normally does. He always plays at least somewhat of a comedic character. I'm not saying he's never done drama before. I know. I saw Dreamgirls, and it was a great movie. But it wasn't his movie. He was great in it. But it wasn't his movie. I'm talking about him coming back in a star vehicle where he's running. He's the guy running around and he's doing his thing. And this Dolemite is my name. Is him seeming to like come back, like this is his charge back because he's going to do stand up again, which I cannot wait for. He's going to host SNL. I mean, the guy hasn't been on a show since 1984, I think. I'm super excited for all of this, and I can't wait to see what it. With everybody coming out, all these comedians coming out, especially on Netflix. It seems like every week they're dropping a brand new comedian special, and I think that kind of sullies it a little bit. There are some magnificent ones. If you haven't seen the Jerry Seinfeld special, it's fantastic. And there's some other great ones. Michael Chase is amazing too. But you're getting Eddie Murphy. You're getting Eddie Murphy's third stand-up. And when he came back and he came on Jerry Seinfeld's show, comedians in the car getting coffee. It was like a 40-minute episode, and it was one of the best interviews I've ever seen. And these two guys who started out on the same week together in comedy, getting together to talk about comedy, it's like a masterclass from comedians. And if you want to be a comedian, or you are a comedian, or whatever you're doing, watch that episode. You should watch the whole show. All the shows are fantastic, and it's all a masterclass. But that one, in general, talking about how they started out, what they had to do. Like his dad had to drive him, and sometimes he didn't make the money, so he had to call his dad to come pick him up. And he tells these amazing stories, and it's a whole new side of Eddie Murphy that you don't really see, because when he popped. He was the star, and that was at 18, but he was hustling since he was like 15, doing comedy. And it's just really exciting to see him come back. But I digress again. I want to go back and I want to talk about Dolemite is my name. Now, I know who Rudy Ray Moore is. I've heard Rudy Ray Moore stuff. I've seen Dolemite. I like Dolemite. Dolemite is a great comedy. I'm not going to say one of my favorites, but it is a great comedy for what it is. Like, when you watch it. And I remember the first time I saw Dolemite. I saw Dolemite and Cooley High in the same night. I was working at Premier Video, I think, because I worked at a few video stores, and I even worked at a Suncoast. It might have even been Suncoast. I might have bought the DVDs or the VHS. That's damn, yeah, that had to be high school, so it was the VHS. And I was going through, and I saw Dolemite and I saw Cooley High, and they're like right next to each other. So I picked them up, brought them home, watched them, and I forget who told me, because I love Friday. And now I'm talking about African American comedies, things like that. And I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were like, "You need to check out these two movies." And that's why, like, I went and I got the tapes and I watched them. And Dolemite was so out there, but being, wanting to be a filmmaker, especially when that was high school. So, like we were running around with the camera and stuff like that. It was exciting to watch something that you could tell was indie made, like true indie made, no real bag, like guerrilla filmmaking at its finest. And it was funny, and they made it funny. You can tell they made it funny because of what they had to work with. So, with that, I just watching that, and Cooley High is not in that bracket, but I just was remembering that I had gotten both those tapes at the same time, and that's why I was kind of remember them together. So, but with Dolemite, I was, that was my introduction to Rudy Ray Moore. But since then, and having done comedy and things like that, I've learned about him and learned about his albums and who he was, and also being known as the almost like the Godfather of rap. Like, it was very similar. So it was pretty cool to see. And now having Eddie Murphy come out, and like this was like this kind of sprung out real quick, and then they started talking about it a lot. It was Eddie Murphy playing Rudy Ray Moore in this Dolemite movie about making Dolemite. Dolemite is my name is the name of the movie. So I was excited. I was like, I'm gonna check this out. I was like, it's got Eddie Murphy. Seems like he's into it. It seems like this is his comeback. Put his heart and soul into it. Like, we knew he was making Coming to America 2. Everyone's excited for that. I will definitely go see that in theaters. But it seems like he's kind of revisiting some roles, but this seems like his deal with Netflix. He's going to come back and do stand up. He's kind of with his interview where he's talking about stand up, and kind of like it's revitalized in him a bit, like he left it behind and never looked back, but now he's coming back to it. It was very cool. So I was very excited to see this. Because I figured he was really going to do a good job of it. And then I watched the movie, the Mrs. Scene Snob and I watched the movie, and I'm going to review it with her on our show, on a Marriage Like That podcast, but I do want to say I recommend it. It is my recommendation for this week. Everybody should check it out. But it kind of left me feeling sad. And the reason being is because the beginning of this year, at the end of April, I lost a good friend and a mentor to me. When I lived out in Los Angeles, there was a man named Larry Flash Jenkins. If you don't know him, you should look him up. Look him up on IMDb. He was in a bunch of stuff. If you remember The White Shadow, he played Wardell in The White Shadow. He was in Bay City Blues. He was in Fletch. He was in Elvira. He was in Ed TV. He was on a bunch of stuff. He was in a bunch of movies. He was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Just a lot of stuff. And Larry had been in the business for almost 40 years. And I started working with him in 2008. I got to meet the man. I answered an ad. Not an ad, but I answered like a job posting, I should say. And he called me up. He was like, "Come out to my house. I want to meet with you. I'll talk to you." So I did, and man, we worked together. He later in life he wanted to just make gospel movies, and that's where his heart was. And he brought me in, and he had a ton of scripts. I still have a bunch of the scripts. I hold on to them, sort of as keepsakes now. He had TV shows. We shot stuff, and he hired me as a associate producer and unit production manager. And Larry was my guide. He was my LA guide. Like, he would take me places, and we would go everywhere. And it was just like I met beautiful, wonderful people through him, and I understood so much more, especially about like old school filmmaking. And he taught me so much. Now, don't mind me if I get a little choked up here, because we didn't have a falling out, but I had to leave. Like, times were getting stressed when I was living in LA, and and I had family that needed me back on the East Coast, and I remember I called Larry and I told him, the day I was leaving. It was September 2011, and I was like, Larry, I just gotta let you know, man, I'm taking off. I'm moving back east. And he was like, what? No. He's like, no, don't leave. He's like, let me call you right back. I'm in a meeting. And I was like, all right. I told him. Larry was a very quirky guy. Larry, you tell Larry something, and it's kind of like in one ear, out the other, because he's going to do it his way. He liked things his way, but not in a disrespectful way. He respected other people's ways as well. When he worked with other actors and things like that. But he was a jovial guy who cared about people, and when I told him, he was like, and I understood where he was coming from. I think he thought it was all about the work and things like that, and because if you're a filmmaker, 90% of your time is looking for another job, and it can get stressed when you don't have a job and you have things going on, responsibilities to your family, and they're calling you back and things like that. But he called me back real quick. He's like, listen, I got a job that I want you to do, in Paramount. Can you do it? And I was like, Larry, I gotta go. And I was sad. I was very sad. And he always kept in touch with me. He always emailed me, or he was on Facebook, and or he called me sometimes just to kind of see what was going on, or he asked me some questions about budgets I did for him and things like that. And we always got to talking. But he always asked me whenever we called. He started the calls and ended the calls, and this happened in person too. He said the same things. He always had a smile, and you could tell through the phone, or you could tell through an email, or in person when you saw him. He always had a smile when you saw him. He was like, man, what's up? How you doing? And he just got real excited and give you a hug. And he always ended it with, stay tuned, Mike, stay tuned. And he would just tell you, stay tuned, like, this is happening, whatever. And you always believed him. Now, the reason I bring up Larry is because there's a scene in Dolemite is my name. And Eddie Murphy pulls it off so beautifully. He pulls Wesley Snipes' character aside, and Wesley Snipes' character is an actor. He's like an established actor who's directing this movie for him, Dolemite. And now all of the money for Dolemite is coming from Rudy Ray Moore. He is paying for everything. He's going broke paying for everything because he believes in his project, and he's putting in hard work to get it done. And his friends are helping him, but he's trying to take care of everybody, and everybody really respects him. He's a great guy. And he sees how Wesley Snipes' character is treating a crew member on set, and he pulls him out and he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? He doesn't embarrass him, he doesn't do anything like that. He pulls him outside and says, let me talk to you for a second. He's like, listen, you need to drop the ego. He's like, I'm paying for this whole damn thing, and if I need to go down and make sandwiches for craft services, I will. If I need to sweep something up that falls apart, I will. If I need to set up a light, I'll do it. That's the way we're doing this here. No egos. We're all working together to collaborate and make a movie. And that was touching, because it's true. Because it shouldn't be a competition. It shouldn't be an ego fest. Nobody should be above anybody else when you're making a movie. It should be more like a family who comes together and wants to do it. And the best film sets I've worked on, that was the case. Now, the reason that correlates to Larry was Larry. That's who Larry Flash Jenkins was. Every time you worked with him, he was sweet to everybody. He would do things. He would pick up the slack for anything that he had to do. He loved the art, not just acting, but he loved filmmaking. And he respected filmmakers and he respected other actors. And he stuck up for them when they needed to be stuck up for. And he was a friend. And I miss him dearly. And I was unfortunately not able to get out to, we were in the middle of moving, and his funeral was, it bothers me because if there's ever a funeral I was going to go to, I would have went to Larry's. But, my wife and my kids needed me here in Virginia, Unfortunately, I just couldn't be there, and I just I miss him. And this is the first time I really talked about him. And he was a dear friend. He was a terrific guy, and God rest his soul. He was fantastic, and I felt like I needed to say that because talking about Dolemite as my name, and talking about Eddie Murphy and how he's coming back, and it seems like this movie was his way of like his passion, and then you see Rudy Ray Moore, him playing Rudy Ray Moore, and all of his passion that went into making this movie, and everything he would have done. It just reminded me of Larry, and I wanted to say that. And with that, I want to say I think it's time to end this podcast, but I want to end it a little differently tonight, and I think I'm going to start ending it this way all the time in honor of Larry. First things first, please go give us a like and a follow on Instagram and Twitter at the Scene Snob. The Scene Snobs channel on YouTube. Please subscribe there. Like us on Facebook, the Scene Snobs. And I'm just going to say, pay attention, be good to each other, and stay tuned. Good night, everybody.